Hello, how are you? My name is Chris Quinlan. Welcome to the Drum Show. This little extended little idea that I was just working on then to bring the show in was about creating mood and sort of soundscapes without trying to sound too highfalutin about it. I've been doing a lot of listening to Phil Glass, Trent Reznor, from 9 Inch Nails over the last months and things, just to only just name a few. Phil Glass, Steve Reich, I've done shows on, classical composers, and I've also done shows on beloved Frank Zappa and all that. And the show that I did about Frank Zappa, one of them was called Opposites Attract. And I'd like to sort of take a leaf from that episode again, revisit it, not for Frank Zappa's music, but the way that you can work opposites in your playing. Now, let me explain what I was just working on there. So often when we're in a drum lesson, our teacher will rightly so tell us to play a double stroke roll at this metronome speed on the practice pad, and he'll be back in a minute, and you're there going right, left, right, left, oh, whatever, and you build it up so that you've got that business there. I'm using my mallets for that. I might just go to this. The typical way of using a double stroke roll is more rudimentary, I suppose. So you might have so on like that, and that's fine. That's what there's more than 1,000 years worth of history in that. But what goes on is when you're just trying to do it dry on a practice pad, it can just be this endless thing. You go, oh, don't need one anyway. I don't use it in my rock band. So another idea to work up with double stroke rolls is obviously to put it around the kit. You see, getting different things. Now, in the past, I've talked about angles around the drums in previous episodes and all sorts of things. So, if we're going to think like an angle, so to speak, one of the things that I was doing was essentially what I call Siamese triangles. Sorry, I like to amuse myself. Anyway, so what you have is two triangles. It works fine when you've got the extra tom here up, the extra rack tom. So you have a triangle here. And put them together. repetitive, creates its own rhythm just like that. But what I was doing with it was double stroke rolls. And all of a sudden, this rather dull, I know I have to do it, you know, on the practice pad, suddenly becomes something much more interesting. And then the opening solo that I was doing, I was actually thinking of something, a piece of music that I wrote back in 2009 called Waves. And the idea of waves is to sort of evoke the feeling of waves coming into the shore, so to speak, you know, and all this sort of business. I love my photography as well as my drumming, and you know, I've got like a little photo thing of Point Addis, which is, you know, in the down near Geelong and all that sort of stuff, with the waves crashing in and all that. So when I sit down and sort of play this kind of business, I'm just trying to think of waves, you know, just, you know, skittering in, you know. And then getting back to drums per se and drum technique is that when I want to make an accent, what I'll do is I'll give myself that little space to put in a flam by putting in triplets with the bass drum, right, left, right. So like right, left, right, tap. So it ends up being like a 4-stroke rough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So right, left, right, or foot, 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 tap. See? So there's my waves. There's the bass drum. There's my triangles. And the last episode I was doing was talking about empty sounds, you know, like if you've got a floor tom sound there, or 1 iana, 2 iana, as soon as you hit a cymbal, a cymbal tends to have that empty sound to it. We usually put a bass drum, you know. But if we don't put it in, and what's sometimes seen as, oh, don't do that, always add a bass drum to a crash. Sometimes if you do not put one in, a bass drum, what can happen is you can use it to your advantage sometimes, which is what I'm doing. You see? Breathing space with the feet to bring in that when I need it, a flat flam. Do you know what I mean by a flat flam? There's 3 kinds of flams. People just say, oh, just flam them. But which kind of flam? There's a flat flam when we're just doing unison. We do that all the time when we're playing together, like. That kind of business. And that's what happens there. Then there's the typical flam. And then there's the appogatura. Now, you can have a flat flam, which is essentially unison. You can have the acciatura, which is very short and sharp, which is usually used, you know, in your rudimentary style of things. And then there's the appogatura, which is a little bit wider. Think We Will Rock You. Wider. Okay, that kind of thing. On the page, when you look at them, a flat flam is just one note on top of each other. Crotchet up there and a crotchet below. So it'll be just a snare drum and a floor tom together. And And Acciaccatura has the little grace note with a slash through it. And the Apogatura has the little grace note with no slash through it. I've got that on my music computer. You've got a choice of either. For so long, people just think, oh, flam's a flam, you've got to put a slash through it and all that, but not necessarily so.